These are the 4 signs that your silence is affecting your avoidant ex. The first is that they start to watch you from a distance. The reason why this happens is because they no longer have that direct communication with you to understand what is going on and where's your mind at. So because of that, they're going to, from a distance, try to see if there's a way for them to see what is going on. They'll try to do things like look at you through social media if they still have you connected, or they may try to look at your friends' social media if they're connected to see if they've posted you, so they can kind of get a sense as to what is going on. And this is due to the fact that they are essentially starting to be worried because they are not having any insights into what is happening. So there's a very good chance that you are potentially moving on from them, and this causes them to panic because at the end of the day, an avoidant does want to be with you. It's just they're allowing this avoidant attachment style to continue to pull away whenever they feel vulnerable, or they don't want to deal with anything that is coming up through conflict or things like that. But even though this is the case, they're not going to outright admit to you that this is what is essentially happening. They are wanting to do it in a way that's going to make them feel comfortable, and that's why they're going to do it from a distance, because that way they can be able to hopefully satisfy that part of them that's feeling worried, so that they don't have to do anything that's going to make them feel vulnerable, which is essentially what they're trying to avoid at all costs. Which leads perfectly into number 2, and that is they reappear with low energy and a confusing message. What this essentially is their attempt to try to work things out with you to see if there's a way for you to get out of this silent mode that you're in with them. So they'll reach out to you or maybe bump into you in the community, whatever that might look like. They're attempting to try to gain that access to you to really make sure that you are not just moving on with somebody else and forgetting about them. But it's very confusing because they still don't have that energy that you would expect someone to have if they were realizing that they could lose someone like you and they want to have them back. And this again is due to that avoidant attachment style, because they don't want to over disclose and be vulnerable and do all of these different things that they're trying to avoid. So they come with this kind of confusing energy and message that makes you wonder, are you really trying to work things out, or is this just a play for you to keep me around so that you can continue to do this and know that I'm always going to be there? And that typically is what this stage is, right? They're wanting to keep you available so that they can have you whenever they get through this avoidant attachment style, and not really looking to dig deep into figuring out why this relationship isn't working, which we all know is due to their avoidant attachment style and is something that they're going to have to deal with on their end. And they know this deep down as well, but typically in this stage, they are not willing to do what is necessary to actually heal and move on from that. So this just leaves you more confused than ever, because there's a part of you that feels like maybe this is going to work out and this is their play to try to show you that they're willing to do that, but there's a other side of you that recognizes that this is most likely part of this cycle, and it's only going to lead to them pulling away once they feel comfortable and they feel like they have you on the hook. Number 3 is that you tend to see them get more active and dramatic on social media. This is where they're trying to post things to kind of coerce you back in, to open up and talk to them, because they're almost trying to bait you essentially, right? They want you to feel jealous, or they want you to feel something that's going to cause you to essentially reach out to them. So you might start to see them start to post things on social media that they wouldn't before, like them hanging out with random people, or they might start to post cryptic messages that makes it seem like they're perfectly fine and they're happy and all these different things to kind of paint this facade that everything's good on their end. But on the same time, there's little drops of nuggets that are trying to get your attention in some way or some form, right? They start to kind of breadcrumb that message there, and you will know that it is a direct message to you, but they try to disguise it as a normal post. And this again is their attempt to try to get your attention, because there's no real way for them to do this at this point, because when you are consistently silent with them and not responding to their attempts to try to get get in contact with you, this is their panic mode kicking in, and they're trying to do everything that they possibly can to essentially try to get some type of attention from you and for you to hopefully reach out to them. And what's really interesting and ironic about this stage is that they essentially are allowing this avoidant attachment style to basically be nullified, and those real emotions are starting to come up, and they're realizing the magnitude of losing you. And this is what they're really acting on, because it doesn't matter what distraction or play that they're trying to tell themselves that causes them to feel good about being an avoidant and why they stick to it, but in that moment it no longer works for them. So they're being flooded by all of these emotions and realizations, and they're going through an emotional roller coaster essentially, and is why they're acting irrational in a sense and are posting things on social media that tend to be out of character for them, which leads perfectly into the fourth thing, and that is their energy seems uneasy. You can start to see the desperation start to come up, whether it's on social media or word of mouth from other people who were around them, and they're telling you that they just seem to not be themselves anymore, and they're kind of in this fight or flight mode and are acting very sporadic. And that is because, again, this is all hitting them at once, because an avoidant will try to do everything in their power to suppress this down. They will distract themselves with other people or stories that they're trying to tell themselves, and this is all a play for them to essentially not have to deal with those emotions, because again, an avoidant wants to maintain control. They don't want to feel any emotions that's going to potentially make them feel vulnerable. They for sure don't want to deal with any conflict, and on top of all of that, they don't want to admit that they were the problem because of this avoidant attachment style. But as we all know, you cannot suppress an emotion forever. It is going to come up in some way or some form, and this, for this avoidant, is that time and place when that's going to happen. So they are essentially not going to be this confident version of themselves, which was a facade all along, but it is definitely not working in this moment at all, and they are in a fight or flight mode where they are realizing the magnitude of their decisions. And if you stick to being silent on them, they are really contemplating the reality of not having you in their life, which is a big deal to them. I know that it might not seem like that when you're in the relationship and they took you for granted, but deep down they really do love you and do see the value that you bring to not only the relationship but to them. But they kept just allowing this avoidant attachment style to continuously get in the way, and they weren't doing anything about it. But at the end of the day, this is on them. You tried everything that you possibly could while you were in the relationship to get them to realize that you are trying to just do everything that you possibly can, and how the relationship would be perfect for the both of you if they just would let go of this avoidant attachment style, and they weren't willing to see that. And now this is the consequences of their actions, and they're going to have to live with that and either decide to go down a path where they are going to finally get some help and assistance from a professional person like a therapist to work through this so that they can heal from it and show up in a relationship with their authentic self and emotions, or they're just going to convince themselves that it's best for them to just completely move on and find somebody else, and that this avoidant attachment style was never the problem and it's everyone else. Whatever they decide to do is out of your hands at this point, but what is in your hand and is always in your hands is figuring out what is best for you. And you really need to ask yourself, is it time for you to essentially move on completely from this person? Even if there's a chance of them coming back, do you want to entertain this anymore? Or are you just completely fed up and it's time for you to heal from this relationship so that you can rediscover yourself and set your boundaries again and find somebody else who's going to be willing to want to be in a relationship with you? And for the most part, the relationship is going to feel genuine and is going to flow naturally. This is something that you need to be honest with yourself, and chances are you already know the answer to this question, but it's important for you to have the courage to stick to it and know that it is in your best interest to see this through. I hope that you did enjoy today's video. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.